Hello, and welcome. Today we have the honor of listening to some folks in the English program. It's going to be a really great session. So I do advise if you have any questions, please use the Q&A chat, and we'll be able to answer your questions there. But without further ado, I will do a quick land acknowledgement before we start. Even though I'm not on Carleton Campus, and most of you are probably not on Carleton Campus, it is important that we acknowledge that the University of Carleton is located on the traditional and unceded territories of the Algonquin Nation. And this is just a really important time that we do like to take before every presentation, just to honor that shared space is where we do all learn, and we are connected through that. So really important we do share that with you. But without further ado, I'm going to pass it on to our folks in the English community, and they're going to tell you a little bit about their program.
Thanks, Giovanna. Hi, everybody. My name is Sarah Jamison, and I am the undergraduate supervisor here in the Department of English at Carleton. And it's my great pleasure to welcome you to this open house session on the English department. Now, we have 45 minutes, and the way this is going to work is that I'm going to give a slide presentation that just gives you a brief tour of our department and our programs. And that's going to last for 25 minutes or so. And then I'm joined today by two of our current students, Jen Jacob and Sarah Lachance. And they're going to each speak briefly about their experiences in creative writing and co-op, respectively. And then once the session is over at 12:45, I'm going to be moving over to a virtual booth. And I'll be there for 30 minutes till 1:15. So if you want to move over there with me after the presentation, you can talk with me one-on-one, and you can ask whatever questions that you may have. So since we've already had a land acknowledgement, I think I will move on. But while we're on the topic of the Carleton campus, I myself am right now sitting on the Carleton campus. I'm currently sitting in this big, tall tower right there. That is Dunton Tower, and that is the home of the English department. I'll be talking a bit more about that later, but you can see here that Carleton is located in between the Rideau Canal and the Rideau River. And some of you may be from Ottawa and joining us in Ottawa, and you're probably already very familiar with this location and with all of the amenities that you can enjoy as a Carleton student. But for those of you who may not be familiar with Ottawa, I thought I would just talk a bit more about our location. So this is a picture of Hartwell's Lock Station, and this is the lock station on the Rideau Canal that is directly adjacent to the Carleton campus. And if you look closely, you can see two little figures on paddle boards there, stand-up paddle boards, and they're heading down towards Dow's Lake, which is a place where you can rent paddle boards and canoes and kayaks and really take advantage of the beautiful area that's directly surrounding our campus and really enjoy the outdoors. And of course, in wintertime, this becomes part of the famous Rideau Canal Skateway. And depending on where you live in Ottawa, you may be able to skate to campus and skate to your classes in winter. So Ottawa is a really great city to pursue an English degree in. And I'll be giving a few specific reasons why as I move on through this presentation. But I'll just come back to Dunton Tower for a minute. So as I mentioned, this is where the English department is. We occupy the 18th and 19th floors. This is where you will find your professors' offices. This is where the administrative staff offices are located, as well as the English department lounge. And this is a space where our students are invited to, they're just welcome to come and hang out and relax anytime. And we also hold various special events in this space. We have literary readings, we have academic talks, we have a big send-off party for our graduating students at the end of every academic year. And obviously, because of the COVID pandemic, we haven't been able to hold these in-person events for the last 2 years, but we're really optimistic that by next year we will be back in our space and we can all gather there. So Dutton Tower, you have to wait a long time for the elevator. It's a long elevator ride up, but once you get up here, you do have some really beautiful views of the city. So why study English? I think a lot of us who study English have come to it simply because we love reading and we love writing and we love talking about what we've read. But in doing an English degree, you can indulge that love of reading, but also gain skills that will be very useful to you in your post university life. So pursuing an English degree leads to the acquisition of cultural knowledge. It introduces you to diverse points of view. It leads to the refinement of writing skills and research skills. And it generally teaches you how to engage critically with a whole wide variety of texts and textual sources. So completing a degree in English enables students to develop and refine the writing and communication skills that Canadian employers consistently list as among their most important requirements in new hires. So those are all great reasons to study English, but why should you study English at Carleton? Well, there are a number of reasons. We really pride ourselves on our small class sizes. Our first year seminars are capped at 30 students. Most of our core courses are anywhere between 40 and 60 students. And then our fourth year seminars are usually somewhere between 15 and 25 students. So small class sizes really promote individual professor-student interaction and the development of closely knit communities. We're very proud of our curriculum. It's sort of newly revamped and refurbished, and it prioritizes engagement with transnational, multilingual, and historical traditions of literary production in English. Pursuing an English degree at Carleton will give you the opportunity to secure well-paid co-op placements that make the most of Ottawa's employment sectors, and we'll be hearing a bit more about that later. And you'll also have the opportunity to pursue interests such as creative writing or theater arts, while at the same time obtaining an English degree. And another thing that we really feel makes our department special is our faculty. The English department is home to dedicated teachers and award-winning researchers. And this slide is just meant to give you a bit of a sample of some of the research and teaching interests of our faculty. So you can take courses in digital cultures, new media, and their impact on the production of literature. We have a faculty member whose teaching is informed by her research on medieval manuscript culture and stories of King Arthur. You can take a course on Indigenous artists and the graphic novel form. We have a course in weird fiction. And what's weird fiction? Well, it's kind of a combination. It's somewhere between horror and the supernatural, science fiction and the Gothic. So none of these are first year courses. You won't be able to take these right away, but this is just meant to give you an indication of the delights that await you as you pursue an English degree at Carleton. I'll just move my slide ahead here. So I'll say a little bit about the various programs that we offer and their requirements. So you have the option of doing a BA in English, which is 15 credits. So that's 6 credits in English and 9 credits in electives. You can also do an honors BA in English, which is 20 credits. So 10 credits in English and 10 credits in electives. And then we also offer something called a combined honors degree, which people often think of more as a double major. That's sort of another way of thinking about it. So say you're really passionate about English, but you're also really passionate about biology and you just don't think you're going to be able to choose. Well, the good news is that you don't have to. You can major in both. But whatever major or program you choose to do, there are certain courses that you'll have to complete no matter which of these programs you study. You'll have to do 2 credits in historical survey courses. So these are courses that cover writing in English from the very beginnings all the way up to the present day. You'll have to do a credit in Indigenous and Canadian literatures. You'll have to do a specified number of credits in courses that explore topics in decolonization and migration and diaspora literatures. And then the remaining requirements will differ depending on your particular program. But what does the first year look like? Majors in English at Carleton are required to complete 1 credit in English at the first year level. And there are a couple of different ways that you can do this. The first option is you could do a course called FYSM 1004, Reading Literatures and Cultures. And this is the first year option that we really prefer our majors to take. We call it our first year seminar. And I mentioned it before, it's the course that's capped at 30 students, which maybe coming from high school, that doesn't seem like a particularly small class. But at university, where first year courses can sometimes have several hundred students in them, believe me, it is. It runs from September to April, and you have the same professor for the entire year, and you're with the same group of students for the entire year. So it gives you a chance to develop a mentoring relationship with a faculty member who can be a kind of a support to you throughout your degree. And it gives you an opportunity to get to know other students in your cohort and sort of develop a support system that way. And the course content is really designed to help you make that transition to university level work. So there's very close attention paid to helping you develop the writing skills that you'll need to succeed at universities, and also to develop other kinds of skills like time management and how to avoid procrastination and that sort of thing. So the other option, I mean, the first year seminar is really the option we prefer our first years to take, but you could also get that 1 credit in English by doing 2 half credits. So one is English 1010, writing essays about literature, plus 1 other half credit course from among the ones listed here. And we call these our thematic courses. So they include things like literature in a global context, literature, law and criminality, literature, science and technology, literature, psychology and the mind. So you get the idea that each of these courses is focused on a literary approach to a particular theme or subject area. So those are the first year requirements. Now, there are other first year courses that you can take along with those required courses. If you're in that first year seminar, you can still take that English 1010, writing essays about literature. You can do an English grammar course. You can do literature in a global context. You can also do English 1500, which is our Intro to Creative Writing course. That's a really popular one. Or you can do English 1609, which is an Intro to Drama Studies. But if you're doing that first year seminar, you cannot take any of those thematic courses that I mentioned. And this brings me to the subject of course preclusions. And this is something that you do have to be aware of when you're registering for your courses, that some courses preclude one another, which means you can't take both of them for credit. So you should just be alert for these. Preclusions are very clearly listed as part of the course descriptions that you'll find in the undergraduate calendar. So that will help you to avoid registering in precluded courses. Now, another requirement in order to graduate from Carleton in English, you need to satisfy something called a breadth requirement. So all of our courses here at Carleton are divided into 4 major areas. So there's culture and communication, humanities, science, engineering and design, and social sciences. And to satisfy your breadth requirement, you have to make sure that you do 1 credit in 3 of those 4 areas. And you'll notice here that English sits in the culture and communication group. So as English majors, you'll have that group easily covered. So really all you need to worry about is making sure that you get 1 credit in 2 of those remaining 3 areas. And I mention this now in connection with the first year, because your first year is a good time to get some of those breadth requirements out of the way, because you're only required to do 1 credit in English at the first year level. So you'll have room in your schedule to sort of look around and take courses in other areas that interest you and that'll also satisfy that breadth requirement. So I'll say a few words about concentrations and minors. So a minor, you typically do a minor in an area outside of the one that you're majoring in. So you can major in English and minor in psychology or religious studies or art history or film studies or whatever it is that interests you. So a minor is 4 credits. Now a concentration is kind of like a minor, except that it's made up of courses that you do that are offered within the English department that you're majoring in. So we have 2 concentration options. You can do a concentration in drama, or you can do a concentration in creative writing. And I'll just say a bit about the requirements, and then Jen will be speaking later more about the experience of taking a creative writing workshop. So if you do the concentration in creative writing, you need to do 2 second-year writing workshops, and you can choose from among workshops in poetry, fiction, creative nonfiction. You do 2 third-year writing workshops. Again, you can choose from among some different types of writing, including screenwriting. You do 1 genre study course, and then 1 fourth-year advanced writing workshop, or a 4th-year course in publishing or the teaching of writing. And then the concentration in drama studies, this involves taking a variety of courses, some of which are sort of like traditional English courses. You read plays and you analyze them and write papers about them. And then others are more like workshops. They're more like you do actual acting and put on productions. And then this last bit here, where at the very bottom of the list, that you learn methods of critique in the context of live theater. This brings me back to what I said earlier about Ottawa being a really great place to pursue an English degree, because Ottawa is a great city for theater. We have the National Arts Centre, we have the Great Canadian Theatre Company, and we actually do have a 3rd-year course that is part of our drama studies program, where you attend live performances, professional theater performances, and then you learn how to write theater criticism about them. So I'll advance the slide. Oh, so just a couple words about minors housed in English that are available to English majors. I mentioned that normally you do a minor in some other department, but there are a couple of exceptions to that. The minor in environmental and climate humanities and the minor in professional writing. Now, the first of these, we're very proud of this. This is a new program for us, and it's actually the first of its kind in Ontario. And it's an interdisciplinary minor that invites you to consider the issue of climate crisis from a variety of disciplinary perspectives. So not just English and literary studies and creative writing, but also perspectives from sociology, anthropology, and philosophy. And then the professional writing minor. This is a collaboration between the Department of English and the School of Linguistics and Language Studies. And this is made up of courses that offer instruction in styles and genres of writing used in various professional settings. So government offices, non-governmental organizations, writing, forms of writing that you'd have to use in science-related fields or in the health professions. So this is an example of, if you do the professional writing minor, it's really going to help you to put those skills that you learn in the course of doing an English degree, particularly the writing skills, to figure out how those skills can be taken into a number of different professional settings. And I think this is probably a good time to introduce the co-op program, which Sarah Fee will be talking about a bit later. So Carleton English majors have the opportunity to gain valuable paid work experience before they graduate. Because it's not an internship, you do get paid for your work. And if you don't, you can choose the co-op option when you're applying. But then there are a couple of other entry points. You can apply in your 2nd year or in your 3rd year. And the whole subject of co-op sort of raises that burning question of what can you do with an English degree? What kinds of career paths can you follow? I think a lot of people there's a sort of a lingering perception out there that if you do an English degree, basically you're going to become a teacher, that's really the only option available to you. And if it is your life's ambition to become a teacher, doing an English degree is an excellent place to start working towards that. But the truth is there are lots of things you can do besides teaching. Our graduates have gone on to careers in education, but also in writing, both creative and technical, editing, communications, policy analysis, law, marketing, and even medicine, with a special interest in patient narratives. And the co-op program can really help to give you a leg up into some of these sectors. Our co-op, our English majors have held co-op placements with the federal and provincial governments and also in the private sector. So these include places like the Canada Revenue Agency, Crown Indigenous Relations and Northern Affairs, the International Development Research Centre, the Department of Justice, the Public Health Agency of Canada, and then a couple of examples of private sector placements include MD Financial Management and PCL Construction. So we also have an international exchange program that you can take advantage of. English majors have studied abroad, typically in their third year in places such as Australia, the UK, France, and Spain. I think there are something like 75 universities worldwide that participate in the international exchange program. And the big advantage to it is that you pay Carleton fees while you are studying abroad at one of these participating universities. So I think that can be a really good deal. So you apply for that in your second year, and you generally do your semesters abroad in your third year. So I'll just say a few words about some of the events that you can take advantage of sort of on and off campus in Ottawa. The Monroe Beatty Lecture happens every year. This is really the English department's flagship event. It's usually delivered by a well-known author. And I'll just draw your attention to the image here. So this shows the Canadian novelist and scholar David Cheriandy, and he's also a graduate of this program at Carleton. So David Cheriandy there is delivering the Monroe Beatty Lecture in the newly repurposed Carleton Dominion Chalmers Centre. And this is a beautiful space that the university has recently acquired to use as a teaching and performance space in the heart of Ottawa. And then this year's Monroe Beatty Lecture is actually coming up quite soon. It's going to take place on March 26th at 7 p.m. And the speaker is the Canadian playwright Hannah Moscovich, who back in the fall just was awarded the Governor General's Award in the category of English language drama. And this event is free, and it's open to members of the Carleton community and also the general public. So I've got a little link to it there. If you'd like to attend, you would be welcome to. And if you follow that link, it'll give you information on how to register for that. The Ottawa International Writers Festival runs events throughout the year featuring celebrated authors from Canada and around the globe. And most Writers Festival events are free for Carleton students, so that's a real perk. And then there's also VerseFest, which is the only literary festival in Canada dedicated exclusively to poetry. And VerseFest events are also free for Carleton students. So here at Carleton, we really, really want to see our students succeed. And there are a lot of resources on campus that can help you with this. The Academic Advising Center can give you any assistance you might need with making changes to your program. Say you suddenly decide that you want to do a combined honors instead of just an honors degree. You can go to them and they will advise you on that. Calculating your CGPA, any questions you have regarding your academic status or progress, Academic Advising can help you with. And then there's the Student for Student Academic Support, which has all kinds of learning support services and writing services and peer-assisted study sessions to help you be as successful as you can in completing your academic work. Whoops. Sorry about that. That was my phone. How much time do I have left? Has anybody been timing this? I think we're at
There's a
12:25. I'm almost
that's
finished.
up in the left-hand corner, and it says 25 minutes in.
Okay, well, I'm just winding up. So, when I've taught on the subject of supporting our students, there's the Paul Menton Center for Students with Disabilities, which provides academic accommodations and support services. And we're very dedicated to fostering equity and inclusive communities, and that includes the Ojibwe Student Center, which is an Indigenous-focused gathering space where students and staff can come to work and study and visit with knowledge keepers. And I'll just give a final plug for the English department website, because if you want to know more about our department and our programs, this is a real trove of information. And this is a screenshot of Life in English. If you go, you see down along the left-hand side there, if you click on Life in English, you can get blog posts written by current students. You can find information on upcoming events and student groups, information on the kinds of work that our graduates are doing. You can watch videos about our courses and our programs featuring faculty and current students. You can also look at sample course outlines on the department website. So if you want to look at one of those first-year seminar outlines and see the kinds of things that they're reading and the kinds of assignments that they're expected to do, all of that information is there for you. And then I'll just end by saying, if you have any questions at all about our program or our department or our courses, please reach out to us. So you can reach out to me, Sarah Jamison, the undergraduate supervisor, and then I work very closely with Maria Debussy, who is the undergraduate administrator here at Carleton. And we are here to help you and answer all of your questions. So that's it for my presentation. So maybe I will turn things over to Jen. Do you want to go first?
Absolutely. Alrighty. So, hello everyone. My name is Jen Jacob. I am a third-year student at Carleton, and I am one of those combined majors that we were talking about earlier. I'm a combined major in English and history. And I'm going to be talking about one of our creative writing workshops that we offer through the English department. So I am currently enrolled in the writing poetry workshop, and that is taught by Professor David Simist. And I decided to take the writing poetry workshop because since grade school, I have loved poetry, which is, I guess, is a weird hobby to have as like a little kid, but I honestly have always loved poetry, and I've been an avid writer of poetry ever since. And someday I hope to publish my work. And I felt like I wasn't making the progress that I wanted to be making on my poetry, so I applied for the course so that I can improve my writing. But it's also, a great opportunity to meet other student poets and, to give myself that space to socialize after a long period of COVID isolation. But yeah, it's an experience where I can immerse myself in a class that both challenged me, but also gave me a break from the rigorous essay writing that we see in, traditional university courses. So it is a course that you apply to. The application for writing poetry was a brief cover letter that introduces yourself. You give a brief statement about your writing, like who inspires you, what you write and what your style is, why you're interested in taking the workshop, and if you have any workshopping experience. And then as also a part of the application, you also submit a sample of your poetry. But don't let that application process dissuade you. Like all writers at different levels are welcome to apply. And in the workshop, I've seen students with all different styles and backgrounds and levels of experience. Some are self-published and others are writing poetry for the first time. And I think that everyone comes away from the class learning something new, which is really, really wonderful. And it's a great atmosphere. Our class right now is made up of 20 students, which kind of falls in line with the small class sizes that we see in the English program. And it makes it very easy to get to know people. In terms of the coursework, The class learns about a specific style of poetry in a lecture, and then we all write poems in that style. And then we workshop each other with the professor's guidance. The class is broken up into 3 workshop groups. So one group will write their poems and then send them to the professor and classmates through the class portal. And then another group will provide feedback and constructive criticism during the next class. And then the groups will alternate over the few weeks. So everybody kind of gets a chance to put their work out there and then also receive feedback and practice giving feedback. And it's honestly a really low stress experience, even though it might sound a little intimidating. People are just really nice and provide commentary and suggestions that really help build on your work and refine its readability and structure. And the class is also led by a published poet, so our professor can provide us with unique insight on the publishing world and the process. And then at the end of the semester, we apply the feedback that we received on our poems and then submit them in a portfolio to be graded. And so that's the general structure of the class. I can only speak for the writing poetry workshop, but I assume that other workshops they follow a very similar style. Mm-hmm. And like I said, it's been an honest pleasure to be in such a close-knit setting with other students who write poetry. I've made more friends in this workshop than I have in any other class. A lot of us will go out to get coffee afterwards and talk about our poetry and work on stuff together. So it's a really, really wonderful social experience as well. Mm-hmm. And I've learned a lot about my writing in this workshop and what strengths I have and what weaknesses I have. And I think the fact that I can work closely on improving my writing skills while also observing and helping others to do the same thing, it's really enriching because you're a sponge that soaks up all of this good information and experience. And I've done workshops like this in the past, and I've really enjoyed being part of this one more than the other ones. And I don't think it could have come at a better time for my degree after being online for what felt like forever. So but yeah, that's the gist of my experience. And I think I speak for a lot of my peers when I say that the workshops are absolutely worth taking if you're a creative writer or if you're interested in learning how to write creative writing. And whether you want to pursue it as a career or you just do it as a hobby, I think the workshops are an invaluable tool for improving your writing throughout your degree. So
yeah. Thanks, Jen. I think you've covered everything that I was going to say. Yeah, they're all led by published authors, and one of the things that we really prioritize in those workshops is this ability to deliver constructive criticism. So yeah, the classes are meant to provide a very supportive environment, and you don't have to be in that creative writing concentration to be able to.
I'm taking it, just because I have a vested interest in poetry. Mm-hmm. I have a very history oriented degree, but I also really love creative writing and poetry as a hobby, and I would love to pursue that as part of my career someday. So yeah, it's awesome that I've been able to have that experience.
Yeah, you don't even have to be an English major. There are people we've had people from math sign up for our writing workshops. So yeah, they're really great that way. So thank you very much. Of course. So now I will turn things over to Sarah Fee, who will talk a bit about her experience as a student in our co-op program.
Hi, everyone. So I'm in a limbo between 3rd and 4th year, partially because of co-op, where I took some courses. You are allowed to take up to 2 courses during your co-op session, and I did take advantage of that. So I'm a bit of a limbo right now, but that's still okay. So for a co-op for me, I have done 3 co-op sessions, and this is very rare. I took the same co-op position all 3 times. So at the end of every semester, you have the option to reapply for new positions. For me, I worked at Health Canada in a couple different positions, but within the same department. I worked as a digital communications advisor, and then later I'm working in user experience right now. So the nice thing I think about co-op is everything's kind of curated beforehand by Carleton. So you're able to just kind of go through a list, you're able to apply. You have a class before you ever even apply that shows you how to make a cover letter, how to build your resume, and all that stuff. And it's really, really helpful. And then you just apply and you do the interviews, and they actually have rehearsals for interviews if that's something that you struggle with, like I struggle with. Also, part of the reason I stayed in the same position is I didn't have to interview more than once. So if that's something that you struggle with as well, just know that as long as you make a good impression in your first co-op, you can probably stay in the same spot the whole time. The nice thing I think about the co-op position, especially in Ottawa, is you have the option to work in government sectors. So that's a well-paying job. You get a lot of experience, and it sounds really good on a resume if it's not someplace you want to stay later. So I'm finished my co-op. I actually just finished my last co-op semester in the fall, but I have been picked up as a casual working at Health Canada. So even after the co-op, if you're worried, oh no, like I have the experience, but like, what am I supposed to do after? A lot of the time, if you really like the position you're working in, you make a good impression in your work and with your like coworkers, you might just be asked to stay on afterwards, and it's great.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if this is going to be the same thing that happens afterwards, but I actually did all 3 of my co-op positions remotely. And so I was also worried, am I going to be able to meet my coworkers? Am I going to get that like work experience? But I totally did, because a good co-op position will make sure that you are constantly engaged. You'll be able to like talk to your manager, have meetings as many times during the week as you want. You're usually able to reach out on stuff like Slack, which for anyone that doesn't really know what Slack is, it's basically like the business version of Discord. It was a great experience, honestly, and I would highly recommend it to anyone that's on the fence about it. It's not too difficult. Oh, do your co-op opportunities begin during your first year? So co-op opportunities begin after the second year. So you can apply when you're applying. You can choose the co-op concentration, but you can apply afterwards if you decide later, I'm not 100% sure what I want to do. And there are grade and credit requirements. You have to have at least a B+ average, which is a 9 out of a 12-point scale. Mm-hmm. Which, honestly, as long as you like for the classes, as long as you just like pay attention in class, do the readings, and talk, that's not that hard to achieve.
And there are credit requirements. I think you have to be registered as a full-time student. So you have to be doing a minimum of 2 credits per semester.
Yeah. And 2 credits basically is 4 classes, because it's a little unclear, I think, unless you're kind of in the middle of it. But the co-op position was really great just because it gave me a lot of work experience. And I worked mostly in communications, like I said, but also a mix of user experience, which if you're interested in stuff that are more technical, I worked a lot on stuff like HTML coding, CSS, stuff like that, just stuff that's more behind the scenes. And if you're interested in editing, the communications aspect a lot of the time is about editing like live web pages. For example, I work on COVID-19 pages for the Canada website. So even like as a co-op student, I was trusted enough to be able to do stuff like that. So if you're worried, it's just a co-op position, they're not necessarily going to give me a lot to do. In a good co-op position, they will give you a lot to do, and they will give you the responsibility that they would expect of a non-co-op employee. Just because you have the student attachment doesn't necessarily mean they're going to treat you like, a student. So right. I do highly recommend anybody that's on the fence about co-op. Do you have to find a co-op position yourself, or does the program assist you? The program does assist you. There is a portal called My Success on the Carleton Central portal. There's going to be like a curated list that can follow through your programs. So if you are in English, you just select like the English major, and then any job position that is accepting English majors as one of the potential student hires will show up. Mm-hmm. So you do get an assistance on that. You do have to apply. However, also just if you're not 100% sure, like if you like any of the options in the My Success portal, you can actually find co-op positions on your own and then bring it in to present to Carleton, and they can help set that up with you. How selective is the application process? It depends on the place you're applying, because a lot of the times they're only hiring 1 or 2 students. So what you want to do when you're applying, the first time I applied, I think I applied to like 13 or 14 different places, and I got 2 interviews. So you have to kind of be prepared for that during the application process, that they might not look at your stuff, but as long as you kind of like have you're open to like a bunch of different things, you will find a position that you're interested in. And then after the first co-op slump, kind of, it's a lot easier to like reapply for places, because they'll now see that, oh, you have like experience working in this field. Because a lot of the time you might be coming into co-op without any experience in that field. But like, it's not terribly selective as long as you apply to a lot of places.
You have to cast a wide net, which
yes.
I guess is true whatever job you're.
Yeah. So when I first applied, I applied to like 13, like I said. I kept it pretty narrow even then, because I only wanted to work in something that was related to like communications, editing, web experience. I didn't want to do something like we offer Nokia. Sometimes there's like positions at Nokia, but that looked more like, to me, answering calls and stuff, and not something that would be super helpful for me in the future. So long as you kind of cast a wide net, but also like make sure that you're only applying to things that you are genuinely interested in, you're usually going to get picked up for at least a couple interviews.
Right. Yeah. And what you said about this potentially leading to work in the future, we do have several graduates who've been offered full-time positions.
Oh yeah,
where they did their co-op placements.
I'm working casual right now only because I'm taking classes at the moment. Yeah. But I have been offered for the summer a full-time position.
Okay.
So like, as long as you kind of just like engage with you have to be friendly, obviously, but if you're going to work in anywhere, you have to kind of be friendly. And as long as they like you, you do your work, and you engage well with like what you're working on, a lot of the time this does lead to jobs both during school and afterwards. And even if you don't want to stay afterwards, it's still a really good experience, and it still looks like great on like a resume or something in the future.
Yep. And you do get paid, and you don't pay tuition while you are doing your work placements. You have to pay a co-op fee, but you'll easily do that through the money that you get paid for your work. So we only have about 3 minutes left. So does anybody have any? I mean, you can keep typing questions into the chat, or you can come over to the booth with me, and I will be on hand to keep answering whatever questions people have. Giovanna, are you still there? Can you maybe direct people? Is it too early to direct people over to the booth now, or? I don't know. Oh, there she is. Hi.
Hello. Yeah, so absolutely, whenever you want to pop into your own booth, students can definitely go there. There is a quick president welcome session occurring, I believe, at 1. So if you want to go to that, but there is some time in between there too. So if you want to go to the booth, and students can go say hello and ask any questions, especially if they're more kind of individual questions too, that's where the booth comes in handy. Also, I do see a lot of co-op questions, so there is co-op here as well. So you can jump into a booth and ask about co-op. But yeah, so still a little bit of time if you have any last minute questions, but if not, for sure we can close the session off here, and you can jump into the booth.
I just wanted to ask, I noticed the session is being recorded, so where can people access the recording?
Yeah, so usually just after this is done, it'll upload right onto the where the session link was. So wherever you access the session before, it's still going to be there in like a little video format. So people can take a look there. But I'm sure there will be a follow-up link posted just to get that. Maybe you can join us today.
Because I have a lot of links, like email addresses, and I've got a link to the co-op website and to the Monroe Beatty lecture and so forth, the International Exchange, that people can find if they look up the recording. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you. Thanks to everybody for attending, and thanks to you, Jen and Seraphi, for giving such great information, and thanks to Giovanna for moderating this.
Love
I'll
that.
see people over at the booth.
Yeah, absolutely. Bye for now, folks. Thank you so much to the English department for showing up and letting us know a little bit about what goes on there. So any more questions can definitely be answered in the booth.
Okay.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Great. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.